Good evening. It is not evening, actually. It's during the day, and it is May 24th, and I have started my May TBR Tackle book, which was The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. If you don't know what TBR Tackle is, it is a super fun year-long readathon / booktube game run by Kieran at Katie Books. In the beginning of the year, we picked 12 books, and every month of the year, he gets a friend content creator, a bookish content creator, to create a prompt video for us, and we use that prompt video to pick out of our stack of 12 to get our next book. Since we are in May, it means we are down to 6. Could that be right? No. 7 books. Every book that I read for TBR Tackle, I vlog, and at the end of the month, I watch Kieran's video, and you can find out what my next TBR Tackle book will be. So my last TBR Tackle video for April is up on my channel, and you can see how I picked The Only Good Indians. And I will pick my June TBR Tackle book at the end of this video. The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones I picked up in 2021 because I wanted to do a video of favorite booktubers' favorite books from 2020, and this was quite a few people's favorite books. I know that Books and Lala likes this. I know that Alicia Reeds likes this, although she's not making videos anymore, so Alicia, please come back to us. We miss you. But anyway, I never got around to making that video, but I did really want to read this book. That being said, there's a lot of reasons that I'm intimidated about this book. One is that Stephen Graham Jones is definitely a divisive writer. He is an Indigenous author who writes primarily horror, and many people really like his books, but I've also heard that during his professorship, he was not a very nice professor, and that some people take like personal issue with him, and that's kind of always stuck in my head. Now, I am not one to shy away from reading certain types of problematic authors, but for some reason that kind of always stuck in my craw, and I was a little bit nervous to read his work. Another reason that I was nervous to read this book particular is that it is supposedly written in a style that is unusual, and the formatting or structure of the language in this book is difficult for some people to read. I don't know if that's really going to be the case for me or not, but it made me nervous to pick it up. And then finally, I was specifically nervous to read this horror book because this horror book has a lot to do with animal violence. If you've never heard of The Only Good Indians before, it is a story about several Indigenous friends who, while they were all still living on their reservation, the Blackfeet Reservation, when they're all still quite young, they go on a hunting trip together, and something really bad happens while they're hunting. You're kind of not told in the synopsis what this terrible thing is, but whatever it is has caused ripples to circle out from that event through the future and affect the lives of every single person involved. The one thing that I know is that this book involves hunting and killing of animals, and I know that their hunting trip when they're young is what causes the trouble to follow them into the future, and I'm sure that has to do with animal violence. And as far as I know, there's other animal violence in it as well. So that's the main reason that I found this book to be very intimidating. To prep myself for reading The Only Good Indians, I did read a short story by Stephen Graham Jones. I had never read anything by him before, and I was on tour.com and I saw that there is a short story called The Night Cyclist by him. So the other day I read that, and I really enjoyed it. It's about a chef who has recently broken up with his long-term girlfriend, and one of the only things that really brings him a lot of joy in life is his nightly bike rides home from work. Unfortunately, in the town, there's kind of a rivalry between cyclists and other pedestrians, and the nighttime trails have become quite dangerous. When the main character cycles past 2 dead bodies, he really realizes how dangerous they've become. I really enjoyed that short story, and it was a nice way to ease myself into Stephen Graham Jones' writing and also his manner of horror. I don't know if The Only Good Indians will be the same, but that short story really got me excited for this. So I started reading this today and I got 53 pages in to The Only Good Indians, and at the chapter that I'm at right now is when we're going to find out, when we're going to be told what happened during that fateful hunting trip. So this book starts out with one of the friend group being killed and the kind of spiritual, supernatural circumstances that may possibly have led to his death. That's the first chapter, so I don't think that's spoilers. And then we start right in with our main character, Lewis, and Lewis is one of the friend groups. He's one of the only people in the friend group who got out of the reservation early. He moved in with his girlfriend. He became a mail person at the USPS, which is a bonus for me because I have always wanted to be a letter carrier. It's been one of my dream jobs to have. So I didn't know that there was anything about the USPS in this book, and that definitely makes me love it a little bit more. And we see Lewis as he has a near accident and there are some supernatural occurrences, possibly supernatural occurrences, that may have led to his near accident. Luckily, he was saved by his girlfriend. But seeing what he saw and experiencing what he experienced, he realizes that it is time to reconnect with that friend group and to maybe figure out what really happened on that fateful hunting trip. So that's how far I have gotten into this book, and I'm super excited to find out what happened back then. It is going to have animal violence, so I'm nervous about that. As far as how this book is written, it definitely does have a style of phrasing and writing and speaking that takes a minute to get used to. It has a very specific pacing and cadence to the language that is used. It's very, very conversational, and I would say it's very regional. Not to the region that I'm from, but to the region that this takes place in. And I could see how you would have trouble with that, but it didn't really bother me that much. It just took me a little while to get used to it, and now I feel like I'm pretty used to it. So unless something drastically changes, I don't think it's going to be an issue with me going forward. And when I read some more of The Only Good Indians, I'll get back to you. Not had a chance to check back in with you, partly because it's been Memorial Day weekend, and so I've been very busy at work, and because I haven't been able to film, or it's been too dark, or etc, etc. So it's not the best lighting right now, but we're just gonna pop in here. I'm loving The Only Good Indians. It is horror, it is gory, it is violent, there's a lot of animal violence, there's a lot of dog violence, if that's something that bothers you, but there's violence towards lots of different animals. There's definitely some shocking moments. I would say about a third of the way through is a extremely shocking moment, and I was totally flabbergasted. I was reading it at work and I was totally shocked. I was wishing someone I knew would come in so that I could just blab all about it, but of course no one did. Now I'm at the last little quarter of the book. I have about 30 pages of the book left, so I am going to be finishing it tonight. It never took the turns and twists. It never took the path that I thought it was going to take. I thought once I had started reading it after I did my last update with you that this was going to be a Final Destination kind of storyline, and in some ways you could compare it to that. Now, I've never actually seen Final Destination, so don't quote me on that, but in my mind that's what this is. But it never did the things that I thought it would do necessarily with that potential storyline or with that type of storyline, which was really great and interesting. So now we've gotten to the point where, like, I don't know what's going to happen next. In some ways, we've wrapped up some of the events that were inevitable in the telling of this book, and in some ways we have 40 pages left. So what is going to happen? What are those last 40 pages going to bring us, and how is this story going to resolve itself? I think one of the interesting things about this book is definitely the length that people are willing to go to protect themselves, to protect their family. That's definitely a conversation that's being had, and then it's almost like a one-upping of that. How far will you go? This person will go this far, but this person will go way further. That's very, very interesting. I just am loving it. I'm loving the way it's written. I think this and The Night Cyclist have confirmed that I really enjoy Stephen Graham Jones, and after reading these two, that very short story and this novel, I'm ready to read everything he's ever written. I'm ready to be immersed in his writing style, especially because this one and that one are so different that I'm excited to see what else he does. I know that he uses a lot of experimental styles, like writing like a screenplay, and just the way that he words things, or the phrases that he uses, or the phrasing that he uses. So I'm here for it. I'm ready. So I'm going to finish this last little bit. It is May 31st, so I have a couple of books to finish. I actually have 3 books on the go right now. I have more than that, but let's call it 3. I have 3 books on the go right now that I have like 15 to 50 pages left of all these books, and it is 6 o'clock on May 31st, and I am planning to finish each and every one of them tonight so that I can call them May books and I can put them in my May wrap-up. I also need to pick my next TBR Tackle book in this video. So Kieran actually put out his TBR Tackle prompt a day early, so I will finish this up and then we will go and watch Kieran's video and find out what my TBR Tackle book for June 2022 will be. Let me know if you've read The Only Good Indians in the comment below. I'm dying to talk about it. I have finished The Only Good Indians, and I did like it a lot. I said I loved it earlier. I guess I loved it. I don't know. I loved aspects of it. It definitely made me cry at the end. Like the last few pages, I definitely welled up with tears. Tears fell from my eyes. There was an emotional connection with this book, even though you weren't overly connected with all the characters. I think this was an interesting book because it tonally shifted quite a few times. So you have a very short opening chapter that's told in a very removed kind of way, and that's framed by a headline and a news article. And then you move on to another tonal section that you feel very close to the character and you learn a lot about them and they're very developed and your relationship with that character develops. And then you move on to a different tense and a different perspective, and then you move on to an area that's more about a particular activity than it is about what's actually happening and kind of the nuances of that activity, and then you move on to, and it just keeps going like that, and it keeps expanding upon itself. And I think the way that that worked without feeling disjointed was that the language used throughout the book was the same. So the kind of very specific speech pattern of all the characters and of the writing was the same throughout all those tonal shifts. Although I think people struggled with that, for lack of a better word, dialect. It wasn't necessarily a dialect, but it is a manner of speaking. It's almost like an accent. It's almost like writing in an accent. And I think people struggled with that. I've seen reviews where people really didn't know how to handle the manner of speech in which it was written. But I didn't mind that. It took me a little bit to get used to, because it was very much like conversation, because it was very much like talking to someone with a different accent than you, but from America, because it was a very American book in a lot of ways, I think. Or America's. Could have been Canada too, but just like, even like Canada, like when you meet someone from Canada, when you're from America, you know they're from Canada by the way they speak. And like this felt like that. Like when you meet someone from certain places, even if you don't know the exact accent that they're speaking in, you're like, oh, you're from this place, like California. Oh, you're from California, aren't you? The things that they say, the phrases that they use, the cadence, the pauses, the extra words. And so this was written like that, but I think that really tied the whole book together, because I think the shifts in perspective and place and character and all that would have been very jarring if there hadn't been some common thread beyond the plot. I think it's so different from The Night Cyclist, because that felt, although it did feel very regional, that felt very normal, very plainly spoken, very easy to read, and very straightforward. There was not a lot of jumping around in time. There was not a lot of jumping around in perspective. It was very easy. But this was definitely more difficult, also more nuanced, I think. I really enjoyed the resolution of the story. I mean, it was a little telegraphed. There was like, I kind of sort of did have an idea what was going to happen, but not like the end. Like I kind of knew where the last tonal shift was going to leave us, but I didn't know what the end of the book was going to be, and I really enjoyed that. And I really liked how it ended, and I thought it was, although a horror novel with a lot of horror, a lot of blood, a lot of gore, a lot of gross stuff happening, there was like a lot of hope at the end, which, you know, is the most you can wish for as a book that's a downer to be uplifting. I like the balance of horror and hope. I like that balance. I like that not warm fuzzy feeling. Most people didn't survive, but there was some survival at the end without giving too much away. So that was my May TBR Tackle book. It is June 1st, and it is time to pick a new TBR Tackle book for June. KD Books already put out his video. He put it out a day early, so I'm super excited to see who our next guest content creator is for June TBR Tackle. I'm more nervous about this TBR Tackle than most for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the middle of the year. I don't know if it's because I feel like I kind of have a lot to read in June. I don't know if it's because I like my list and I'm worried about changing it. Just to go over the 7 books that I still have on my TBR Tackle list. I have The Ghost Bride by Yang Zichu. I have Quicksand by Nella Larson. I have What Are You Going Through by Sigrid Nunez. I have The Buddha in the Attic by Julie Otsuka. I have There There by Tommy Orange. I have Long Division by Kiki Lemon. And I have Transcendent Kingdom by Yag Yazi. Now, going through the list now, I want to read all these books. I'm super excited for every single one of them. Let's watch Kieran's video.
It's very sunny today, so I'm going to sequester myself a bit in this corner.
I definitely feel like this is a joke I'm not getting. So Kieran said that He didn't have a prompt for this one, so I think he went on Cameo or something and bought a celebrity saying a prompt, but it's like a puppet. Okay, that was maybe a reason to be nervous about this prompt because I don't know what happened. I don't understand this prompt. I don't know what just went on. But apparently Kieran paid a furry to give a prompt, but he didn't actually give a prompt. He just said you can read one book this month. And then Kieran phoned a friend. Kieran phoned Bob the booker and he asked which book he should read, and Bob picked one of his 7 books. I could just pick any of my 7 books to read, which would really be the smart thing to do. I just found an audio copy of What You Were Going Through by Sigrid Nunez, which I don't even really know what this book is about. So I could just pick this book. Should I just pick this book? I have a lot of books to read in June. Or I could pick the shortest book. This is the 2 ways that I would interpret this prompt. I would interpret it as pick whatever book you want and read it in the month of June. Pick any book off your TBR Tackle list and read it. Or I would interpret it as phone a friend. So my other option is to phone a friend, see which one they pick. I'm going to take a picture of all these books and I'm going to send it to my friend Stephanie, my BFF, and I'm going to see which book she picks for me, and then I'll decide from those 2 choices. I'm going to text her because I don't call people. So I put, would you please pick one of these books for a reading challenge? No need to look them up, just from this photo. And we'll see. It might take her no time to get back to me. It might take her quite a lot of time to get back to me. She's still at work. It's 4 o'clock on June the 1st. So she might be busy. You never know. But sometimes she'll text me right away. So let's give it a couple minutes and then we'll see what happens. I might pick this because, like I said, I did see it on audio. And it is quite short, actually. It's only 210 pages, but like the margins are huge. The chapters are short. It has a cat on the cover. I'll get back to you when I get that text. Or maybe we'll just have to decide on our own. Whoa! I didn't even have a chance to move on, and she texted back. And she texted, there. Stephanie picked There by Tommy Orange. This would also be a good choice, I think, because it is another book written by an Indigenous author, and actually I think I've seen the audio for this one too. This one is 290 pages, so not really that much longer. So let's go with There. I think that works. We read The Only Good Indians in May, so let's read There in June. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for helping me pick this book, and I'm super excited to read another American Indigenous author. Very fun. So let me know if you've ever read There. Let me know if you read The Only Good Indians and what you thought of it. Let me know if you're participating in TBR Tackle. It's not too late. If you still want to participate, go ahead and pick 7 books and then interpret this prompt however you want. Or pick 6 books, and in the beginning of July, you can pick a book from that. You can also watch all my other TBR Tackle vlogs. I'll have them listed down below, and I also have a playlist on my channel. So if you want to catch up with more TBR Tackle before next month, you can check more out there. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!